Hi, everybody. Jason Zaleski here with an important update in the area. Along with us today is brand new DC Everest Athletic Director, Mike Mathies. Mike, congratulations. Welcome to the Athletic Director Club. I guess just tell us a little bit about that and how and why, being the Athletic Director at DC Everest is a job for you.
Well, I guess I'm a lifelong resident of the area, basically since about 1970. I think my family moved here when I was like 2. So I'm an Everest grad, obviously, and have been working for the district the last 20 years now. So I think I've got a pretty good grasp on, all the phases that go into high school athletics. I was a 3-sport athlete. I obviously have coached. I've been a parent of 3 kids that went through Everest and were athletes. And I've been licensed to officiate with the WIA for 21 years. So, I've kind of done everything regarding high school athletics. And I guess the athletic director's job was the next step. I kind of made it a goal of mine after my youngest graduated from Everest in 2015. So, and with Jim Seckel retiring this year, it gave me a good opportunity with a lot of knowledge of the district. So definitely thought it was something I wanted to pursue. So threw my name in the hat.
Yeah, and out it came, and here we are. You talked about your coaching history at Everest. Tell us about that. What about you being a coach makes you somewhat, or even totally, uniquely qualified for this job?
Well, I don't think you have to be a coach, to be the athletic director, obviously. But I think having that experience, I ran our softball program for 13 years. As the varsity head coach. I've been involved with both the boys and girls basketball programs at one time or another. So I didn't just have one view of it. I've been involved in multiple sports. So I just think that, the experience of building a program, not that our softball program was bad when I took it over, we were fairly competitive, and, I just kind of kept it on the upslope. But there were things that, you had to do with fundraising and dealing with parents and dealing with athletes, and just how the athletes have changed from the time I played to now is totally different. So I think it's just not just my coaching experience, but other experience helped me to prepare for this position.
You talked about softball, reigning conference champions, a new coach in softball, other new coaches. How do you view your relationship with the various coaches in the athletic program?
I think I've had a fairly good relationship with, the majority of the coaches. There's some coaches that I don't know, just because I'm not totally familiar with their sport. But I think, there's 27 varsity sports at Everest, and I think I would say I know the majority of the varsity coaches. So I think the relationship will be one that'll be easy to communicate because of a prior relationship. And I think that's the biggest key in this position is, because you're kind of a go-between between the district, administrative team and the coaches, so you got to kind of be able to give information to everybody, all those stakeholders. But knowing most of the coaches as well as I do, I know they all have, that the student athlete's best interest in mind. So, and I think that shared concept is one that is spread throughout our whole, varsity coaching group at Everest. So I think, communicating with them is going to be the most important thing, and making sure that I'm not making their job more difficult. I'm really trying to make it easier.
Let's talk a little bit about expectations from the various programs. We just talked about softball, reigning conference champs. At the risk of leaving people out, because I will once I start naming names, I apologize ahead of time. But you got the boys basketball player of the year, a statewide known, maybe even regionally known football team, and the other programs, hockey, etc. And what are the expectations for the athletic department and those individual programs going forward?
Well, I think just being successful, and that's not necessarily wins or losses. It's really, preparing these student athletes for the next parts of their life. So if you have a guy like Marcus Hall, obviously his next part of his life is going to be collegiate basketball. So our coaches have to be, helping him in that decision that he's going to have to make, probably. Obviously his talent speaks for himself, but the coaches really have to communicate with the college coaches, what type of kid he is. Is he a good teammate and good student and stuff like that. So I think I just want, obviously, to build success. Winning state championships is nice, but I think we have to start with a culture of that starts with our student athletes. They're the most important part of this. So we want to really build our culture, including them, making them accountable, making them responsible, making them dedicated, just teaching and role modeling those characteristics as a coach and as a high school program overall. And then I think once you develop that, the wins come after. I think so. You just have to, some of our programs, they're ready to win right now because they've gotten that structure already, with like the Storm. The dance team is really good, but those kids are dedicated and they're committed, and they hold themselves responsible for stuff. So we just got to spread that, through our whole program, and make sure that every coach is delivering the same message. Because sometimes those multi-sport kids, they hear one thing here and then they hear another thing from this coach, and it's really hard for them, because that kind of can develop a little bit of a tug of war. So we just want to develop one culture where all the kids are getting the same message.
You mentioned your expertise in officiating. How does this new role for you at the school? There's been a lot of talk about officiating and making it better, bringing more officials into sports, new people into officiating. How do you view your role in that, being athletic director now at DC Everest?
I definitely want to communicate with some of our athletes about getting into that profession. Obviously you have a lot of high school kids that, once they finish, their senior year, they kind of get away from high school athletics and really the competition part of it. But if they get involved in officiating, you're right back in it. And it's really an enjoyable. I really enjoyed doing football, did basketball this year because I wasn't coaching. And it's just a way to be involved, and still, not that I feel like I'm a teenager, but, you just get in that atmosphere and stuff. So I think we're going to try to, we actually had this year during one of our youth tournaments, Marcus Hall and Connor McFarland both officiated with me, in a try was like 4th or 5th grade, and just getting those kids introduced to that. And I think if you do a little bit of officiating, you can actually become a better player, because you learn a different aspect of the game. So, we're going to talk about, I know Wisconsin Rapids does like a class. I've Dan Witter's talked about it before. So I think that's something we want to try to do at Everest to get some of these athletes involved in officiating. So it's a great way to make money when you go to college. If you go to college at UWSP and you do some like PJ Jacobs or Ben Franklin's 7th and 8th grade games, whether it's volleyball or basketball or football, you can make some good money, for a college student. So I'd really like to get our kids involved in that so that they can carry that on into the future.
Yeah, I think that's a good take on it. And it's one that I don't hear a lot. So I think that's definitely a good one. We'll let you off the hook on this one. You mentioned fundraising a little bit. It takes the whole community to support the school, and especially the student athletes. Businesses get involved. The parents get involved, curious onlookers get involved, all those kind of things. And then for you, then it's communication to all those different groups of people. What kind of attitude do you have towards those type of activities?
We've got a great community that really supports our district as a whole, academically, athletically, in the fine arts. Our community does a great job of supporting us. And having lived here for as long as I have some of those connections. I know some of those people. We're also, when I was in school in the 80s, Everest was only about 30 years old. Now it's 70 years old. There's a little bit deeper pocketed alumni out there. So that I think, some of those guys were involved in athletics or maybe weren't, but they were involved in the school, and they still have a little Everest pride, whether they live in the community or not. So sometimes you just gotta ask people. They're willing to help, but they just don't know where the help needs to be done. So, and I think my relationship with a lot of people within the community will help.
Yeah, great. Well, from everybody here at Zaleski Sports, congratulations. And we're here to help in any way that you need.
Absolutely. We will be knocking on your door.